Hey, what's going on, my beautiful people? This is your certified life and relationship coach, Coach Court, just popping in for the day. Coffee with Court. I don't know if you guys are drinking coffee. I don't know if you guys are drinking tea, but I figured I would try to get back on track with mine, drinking tea for the day. You in here? Let me know. You're in here. Let me know where you're from, time of the day it's in, and pretty much where you're tuning in from. In today's video, or in this video, I'm going to be talking about the conditions in which you should take someone back. Three conditions. I've boiled it down to, right? Three conditions. Because I've seen that if a person has taken these three steps, the relationship usually thrives afterwards. But if it's just one of these steps, then it's probably going to go back to the same old routine, same old business as usual. Freedom from Poland. Thanks for being here. Same old business as usual. And I don't know if you're the one that's being taken back. These are the things you should be really considering changing about yourself and the way that you show up. And if someone else is coming back, these are some things that you want to put in place for them. But first, before we get into all of that, make sure we like the feed. Give me a thumbs up. My coaching group is going to be starting November, my birthday month. You can pre-sign up. Email me at coaching@healmyattachment.com at healmyattachment.com. And what it's going to look like is we're going to be doing things like book studies. We're going to be having, two meetings a month, and we're going to be doing, basically hour-long sessions with each other. Sometimes, if you ever had a coaching session with me, you booked the hour session, and I'm gonna just be honest, like it doesn't go an hour. Like it usually goes about an hour and 15. It usually goes longer than I want it to go, but coaching group is going to be $37 a month. $37 a month, and you can, get group coaching with me and join the community in a private setting outside of the YouTube. All right. So if you guys are just joining me for the first time, make sure that you've liked this feed, get the likes up for me. Boost this for me because I want to make sure that we can get as many people in here as always. So three conditions that I feel will make the relationship thrive, right? And I even wrote it down. Right. I got my little board here, so I'm making sure that I'm actually on point with what I want to say today. $37 a month. Yes, that is what is going to be priced. I have a bunch of different price points, as far as my coaching, but I feel like this will be the most affordable. And you can also, meet with me throughout the course of your life. Now, this is the problem that I run into when I coach people. We'll have like this great, amazing breakthrough session. And then they'll say, you know what? That's all I need, coach. I'm good. I don't need anything else. And it's like, okay, well, I just want to make sure that you're okay. And they usually either aren't able to afford another session, or they end up texting me or emailing me 6 months later saying, hey, coach, we need to talk again. And I'm like, well, it's almost like going to the gym. You have to be consistent. You have to exercise your mind as much as you exercise your body. Right. So it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen with one session. It takes time. And I don't like even selling myself because I don't feel comfortable doing it, but I just know what works. I know what works, and I know that coaching works if you are going through tough times in life. What's up, Simone? Kimberly, it's good to see you again. Vibes were great. Yeah, always. It's always good vibes. And if you could tell them, Kimberly, I'm always shooting straight with people because I feel like one of the worst things you can do is um, go to people and they continue to try to follow up with you, knowing that they already have the answer to your life. They are not your life, but your situation, knowing they already can tell you, hey, this isn't going to be a good situation for you, but they'll have you go through all these different steps in order to um, make an extra buck. And it's just not, I can't jive with that. It's just not something that I can do. Right. Good morning, Coffee with Court. Good to see everyone. Tell me where you guys are from. Poland in the house, Atlanta in the house. It's 11 a.m. over there in ATL. My main dilemma at the moment. What's your main dilemma? Make sure you like the stream for me. I don't like this yellow. This yellow's kind of weird, but I'm gonna do what I have to do. This is what I have to work with. That's what we're working with. All right, so I'm gonna get to it right now. I'm not gonna make you guys wait any longer. Um, First, let me get to where I need to be. All right, so we can get a little bit more likes going. We got 20 people in here. I don't know if you guys know how to do it, but as soon as we get up to 15 likes, we can go ahead and start. I'll give you what I have here on my little whiteboard here. Oh, it's just not nice. That yellow's just not nice. I gotta do something about that. We'll figure it out. All right. England, 100% straight up honesty. And honesty, you were right about everything that I argued against. You know, sometimes I don't like being right, you know, because I know that people come on our channel sometimes, a lot of us coaches, and let's make it pink. They come on our channels and they really want that hope. They want that one quick fix, that level up system that's going to make the person fall back in love with them. And hate to crash on or rain on their parade and dash their hopes, but if I see that a situation is not reconcilable, I'm going to tell you. It's like reading a book already. It's like, yeah, I can tell you how the book's going to end, or you can go through the long, drawn out process of figuring it out yourself. But and sometimes that's usually how it's done. I remember when I was a kid, I was a teenager. I thought I knew everything. At the age of 17, I'm like, there's nothing you can tell me. Sure enough, only to look back and see that a lot of the things that my mom and my stepdad was telling me were 100% spot on. We only need 2 more likes, and then I'm gonna start. 100% spot on. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Um, I have a lot more respect for, and this is why this is where I get a lot of my wisdom from. I listen to the elderly. I listen to people that are older than me, people that are wiser than me, because I know that they have insight and knowledge that I wish I had, and I just absorb it. We aren't friends on social media. All right, I'm gonna get to all that in a minute. We need 2 more likes, and we're almost there. 1 more like. Whoop, whoop. All right, I'm gonna get to it anyway. So, 3 conditions in taking someone back. I don't know if this is going to be valuable content to you or not, but either way, I'm going to answer these attachment style questions in the chat. The first one is they have to acknowledge that they had an issue in the relationship, right? It's hard for someone to show up for you and to show up in a better way if they don't see that they had an issue in the first place. Because they could be pointing it all on you. Because what happens is people will go through a breakup and they say, you know what, I don't want to be friends. Like, I don't want this breakup. I don't want to be friends. And then next thing you know, the other person kind of weasel their way back into a friendship with them when they clearly stated before that that's not what they wanted. Like, they didn't want friendship, but they end up giving it to them anyway. So then they stay friends with them, maybe move up and start seeing each other again, hanging out. But the person had never acknowledged that, look, this is what I did in a relationship. These are my mistakes. These are what I'm going to improve on. If they can't do that, then it's kind of pointless. It means that they are going to give you the same level of effort and going to show some of the same unhealthy habits in the relationship. So that's number one. They have to be able to acknowledge that they had an issue. And, I'm as a coach, I like when people tell me I'm wrong and I don't know what I'm talking about, because that's good feedback for me. I like feedback. I like trying to become the best version of myself. I strive for it. And I think everyone should. But if you have someone that feels like they don't do anything wrong and they can take criticism, and they show up in a manner that's going to be the same way that they did before, it's not going to be good. All right, so the next one, number 2, they agree to push through the stagnation. Now, not most, all right, a good amount of relationships break up because the person did not want to take that to the next level. They didn't want to meet friends and family. I've coached people who were in relationships for 2 years, and they say I never met the person's family. They never posted a single picture of me online. Not like that's something that's really important or like kind of indicates a happy relationship. But if that's something that you require, if you want to be shown that, hey, this person is into me, I'm a trophy, I'm someone that they're spending their time and their life with. I was thinking yesterday, I was taking a walk around the lake, and I say, you know what, our time, we give it to two people, and we give the first 8 hours of our day, or whatever, 8 to 10 hours of our day, we give that to our employer. Right now, they own that time, especially if you have an employee. If you're an entrepreneur, then that may be not the case. But you give the first part of your day, 40 hours of your week, to your employer. The other person that's going to own a lot more of your time is going to be your kids and your family and your boyfriend or girlfriend. It should be your kids, but we all know some people aren't even spending time with their kids. It's going to be the person that you're in a relationship with. So your friends, your family, your kids are going to own your nights and your weekends. That's just how it's going to be. And if you don't have kids, then they're probably going to, the person you're with is going to be probably taking up more of your nights and your weekends. Now, it should be family, but we all know when we get in relationships, we try to prioritize the person that we're in the relationship with. So if they're not willing to, saying that to say this, if they're not willing to push through the next level with you and address some of those concerns that you had, like if you were someone that say, hey, look, you don't take me out here, we don't do that. In the beginning, you were doing, XYZ, but now that we've been together for a while, you become complacent. And I believe that uh, complacency is a common thing, but nothing ever grows there. So if they're not willing to push to that next level and do some of the things, take some of the next steps that you need them to take in order to feel like the relationship is actually going to the next level, then I wouldn't take them back. So you got the first one: acknowledge the issues that they had in the relationship, not just yours. Acknowledge the issues that they had when they come back. This is all if they're trying to come back to you and you're considering taking them back. The next one is agree to push through the stagnation, which, like, all right, are we going to make this official? Are you going to tell your parents about this? Are you going to tell your friends? Or am I going to meet your friends? Am I going to meet your kids? Because I've seen relationships where they've been in together for 3 years and the other person had never met their kids once. Now, this was a situation that I figured out was like the guy was divorced and he didn't feel quite comfortable introducing anyone to his kids. But that's also a red flag for me, because it's like, what are you trying to hide? And if you're with someone for 3 years, it's kind of letting me know that you may not be over that relationship yet. You may be trying to still have some hope with the ex-wife, but I digress on that one. The third one, they agree to counseling and therapy. This probably should be number one, but I'm not going to go there. They agree to doing counseling or therapy. Now, it's whether it's individual or it's couples. You may not be ready to do couple therapy or counseling right out the gate when you've just starting to reconcile with someone, but they're going to have to go ahead and dig deep in some of the things that they struggle with in order to make the relationship work this time, right? And those are my three conditions. I'm going to get to it. Sweden, California. Hey, Amy. Sweden, Cali. So acknowledge the issues that they had in a relationship. Be willing to push through the glass ceiling, that stagnation that you guys had previously in a relationship. And also, they agree to going to counseling and therapy. I believe that one should be especially if a person has a lot of different traumas and they've had a lot of unhealthy relationship patterns. If they are unhealthy themselves, and I believe that if someone has severe anger issues, you should never, never, ever try to get back in that relationship. Like, hands down. I know people are going to say, I had people arguing with me on Facebook saying, well, you got to give people love in order for them to know what it is, in order for them to be able to love you in return. But it's like their parents should have did that job. If the parents weren't around, then someone another caregiver should have did that job, and some people you just can't save. And I posted a quote about that. You can throw them a life raft, but if they're poking holes in it, it's useless. They have to participate in their own rescue. So if they are not willing to do what you need them to do, come with these three conditions, then don't even try. I was always the one that believed every relationship could be rescued. And I do believe that every healthy relationship, everyone that has at least some healthy tendencies, like she said here, yeah, anger issues can turn into domestic violence issues. So people who have anger issues, anger management, this is something that I've done for a living for a long time, going on 20 years. They have to want to change. And from what I've seen with certain type of people, anger issues there's like something that accommodates that anger. It's either some type of addiction or some type of depression or something. And if they're not willing to go in and getting healed from those certain different things that they have, it's like putting band-aids on a gunshot wound. It's just not going to work. All right. So why would an ex constantly be checking on my social media if she's with a new guy, looks happy, we're together for 2 years? Woo. You have to understand that social media is just social media. There are people that's going to like your stuff, going to follow you, and they can really care less. It's usually just nosiness. We're in an era where we can have 50,000 people. I don't know, I don't know how many I have, like 70,000 followers. Not a whole lot, but still, it's 70,000 people. My daughter asked me one day, she said, "Dad, if someone was knocking your door and you opened it up and it was 70,000 people standing out there, how would you feel?" I'm like, not as confident as I am on a camera, here. Social media is social media, and someone can completely be indifferent about you but still follow you. And if you're coming out of a 2-year relationship and this person has fell out of love with you a long time ago, I mean, they may want the companionship, they may want the friendship, but not the romance. And I was having a conversation with the client the other day, and I was kind of explaining to him, if I have to think about, the difference between men and women, um, women can easily be friends with a guy, especially if it was a relationship where she just fell out of love with him and he wasn't abusive and he wasn't toxic, anything like that. They feel bad wanting to leave that person if they don't have that feeling for them. They just say, "All right, we can be friends. I really want to be friends," and they can do that. They can do that easily. But for guys, it's hard for us, and we're usually trying to come up with how can we get this person back plan if we do agree to friendship. It's not just going to be a platonic thing, because it's hard going from having that level of intimacy back to friendship, for men at least, especially if it was out of the blue, especially if it was something that was a breakup that we didn't see coming. Let me guys know what you think. Give me a thumbs up if you feel like that's the case. Is there a difference between guys and women when it comes to breakups? You are not your partner's therapist. I say that all the time. You're playing a very dangerous game. You're not their personal trainer either. I find it hard to be able to do that. Going and working out with someone, and you're seeing, it's hard to be someone that's going to help unless they're open to the feedback and they're open for you to help, put some change in their life. You'll argue there. Like, you may argue at the gym. I mean, it's hard to wear two hats in that relationship. You definitely don't want to be a therapist. You can't. Because they're just going to see it as criticism, even when you're trying to be constructive about it. Now, I'm not saying this is everyone, but by and large, yeah, it's hard to wear those two hats. And it's, like I said, it's dangerous. I mean, I've seen therapists that really struggle to maintain a relationship with someone else that had lots of trauma. So not even someone who's done this and has studied this and are bona fide clinicians can even do it. It's just they have to want to participate. Go back to the life raft. They have to want to participate in their own rescue. I have been in no contact for 60 days with my DAFA. She didn't reach out, no signs, but she seems to be putting her feelings down. She watches a lot of series on Disney Plus. Boom. Now, okay, so one way you can tell that a woman is about to leave or they're grieving, they'll binge watch shows, they'll repress, they'll do things that is usually completely outside of their norm, right? And if they're binge watching shows and stuff, they're repressing, and that's just the way they grieve. And that should be a red flag. Like you should be thinking, why is this person all of a sudden watching so many shows, wants to spend a lot of time alone, it's kind of escape into this fantasy world? It's because they're starting to think this is terrible. I'm not gonna say it. Like this sucks. Wonder if I should drop his stuff off at his house or throw it away. I would wait. If you're trying to use the clothes as an excuse to see him, I would say this is subconsciously done. We have all these conscious rationalizations for what the subconscious wants to manipulatively do. Really pause and ask yourself, why do I need to do that? If he wants his clothes, he'll probably reach out to you. If not, if he doesn't reach out to you, give yourself enough time to where you become more indifferent about seeing him in person. So I would wait. Me and my ex tried a therapy session and not a good idea. If you touch a vulnerable space and it feels unsafe for them, they may view you as unsafe. And here's the problem with, you know, people who aren't willing to let someone advise them or, give them some type of constructive feedback or constructive criticism. Um, it becomes a situation where you go into this therapist office, this counseling office, and you may have like you feel a great session with that therapist or counselor. And as soon as you leave that office, maybe not even as soon, like later on when you're cooking dinner or whatever, and when you're having dinner, this person starts bringing up something that happened in the session. So you feel safe to say whatever you want and be open and vulnerable in that hour session, and you won't see them for another 47 hours. And then you get home and the gloves are off. That safe session's over. Um, you said something that you can't unsay, and this is like the trap that people get caught in when they go into these couples counseling sessions and therapy sessions, where they feel like, all right, this person is willing to share, I'm going to be willing to share, but we have to be able to drop this stuff to a degree once we leave the office, because that's where a lot of relationships unfoil and fall apart after the therapy sessions. Oh, don't try to be each other's therapist. Well, I'm running with it. I'm running with it. That's how I've always felt. If you guys have ever heard of the book, I want to say the book's called Wired for Dating or Wired for Love. It's by Stan Tatkin. Wired for Dating. No. It wasn't that one. It was. I got my book right here. Hold on, let me see. Brilliant book. I thought the book was hands down. I think everyone should read it. Avoidant. I want you guys to check out the book Avoidant. It's by Jeb Kennison. It's a great book. Talks about attachment styles in there. Talks about the history of relationships and why people got into committed relationships in the first place. Really good insight about that. And he's got some studies that he did. Lots of feedback as far as like where you're at in your life. All right. I'm gonna finish my tea. Hope you guys have gotten some tea or some coffee in you. Hello from the UK. I feel like the pain when grief will never end. So there, the 5 stages of grief. You may bargain at one moment. You may be feeling depressed. Maybe feeling angry. Every week is going to look different, but you guys, the bar is going to just consistently go up a little bit, like healed, a little bit more healed. No, a little bit more healed. Just give it time. Be patient with yourself. Know that there will be an end. There will be a light at the end of the tunnel. May not be easy to see now, but hey, I've grieved lots of relationships, so you can too. What was I going to say about that book? The Avoidant. Oh, such a great book. I think everyone should read it. If you're in the relationship world or dating or even in a relationship yourself, read that book. It is such a good book. Avoidant. It's by Jeb Kennison. For me, it's hard to come out of nowhere. Been around. All right, me and my ex tried therapy. Oh, that's what it was. So in the book, um, he gave some interesting statistics on just how therapy changed the longevity of relationships. So apparently, if I remember the book correctly, when therapy was introduced to relationships, it was a kind of like a kind of a test to see if they can, save these relationships. And what they did was they had like these trial separations, because at that time, and it's I don't know if it was like the 40s or the 50s when relationship counseling was introduced. And I think the divorce rate was about 30%. It was at about 30%. And then they introduced relationship counseling and marriage counseling, and the divorce rate jumped up to about 60%, because what they were advising people to do was to take individual therapy, separate, have a trial separation. And when they had that trial separation, what they were discovering was they were happier by themselves and they didn't want to get back with the person. So they decided to get back together only to divorce. And that's when the divorce rate dropped to around 50%, which is where it's pretty much holding at since the 50s and the 60s. So that's, if I remember correctly, that's exactly how the numbers went. But read the book. I recommend it. Check it out for yourself. Don't quote me. Jeb Kennison, that's correct. Somebody's got the title. I'm gonna put it up there. I don't recommend trying to be each other's therapist. Yeah. One more question and I'm gonna take off. Do men do the same thing as far as spending more time by themselves and communication is limited? So one thing I learned from working with people, I'm up to like 116 countries I've coached now. And your cultural background and where you live, the way you grew up, plays a major role in how you show up in relationships. And I'm not going to say anything like concrete, but people here in where we live in Western world and other places operate totally different. Um, I see a lot more anxious men here in the States than anywhere else. It's interesting. But all right. Thank you guys for being here. Coffee with Court. Appreciate you guys. Love all you. If you're catching a replay, you missed the 3 things that I talked about. Give me a like. Comment what you want to comment down in the section and let me know if this is something that it was valuable for you. If you have a topic you want me to cover, also comment down in the comment section. Like the feed, share it, like the channel. All right. Importantly, like the channel. Love all you guys. And always remember, when you go be love, you'll never have to find it. Namaste.